Well, President Obama also said today Russia and Iran are just doing more of what they've been doing in Syria and with a new ballistic missile test. And he says neither will work out well. The president made those comments following a meeting with South Korea's leader, the subject of renewed attention following her recent courtship by both China and Russia. Correspondent Kevin Corke reports from the White House.
More and more, our alliance is helping people around the world in their own pursuit of happiness.
At today's joint news conference with South Korea's President Park, President Obama insisted that close ties between Washington and Seoul weren't strained by an increasingly influential China.
Sometimes there's a perception that if President Park meets with President Xi, that must cause a problem for us. Well, President Xi was in this room eating my food.
Still, the strength of that relationship is cause for concern. Ms. Park traveled to Beijing last month and appeared with China's President Xi and Russia's President Vladimir Putin at a military parade. That visit raised eyebrows in Washington, especially worrisome, say experts, at a time when Beijing continues to be a buffer to North Korea, whose nuclear program remains a threat in the region and claims it has now developed ballistic missiles that can reach the U.S. West Coast.
We need the South Koreans to step up to this alliance. Every day, there are 28,500 American servicemen and women in South Korea to defend that country. This is the least South Korea can do to defend the United States.
Chang says in addition to Beijing and Pyongyang, Seoul faces increasing pressure from Moscow to keep American missiles off the Korean peninsula. Today, the president repeated his criticism of Russia, which is already engulfed in a proxy war to prop up the faltering Assad regime. Mr. Obama said the Kremlin would regret partnering with Tehran in its failed strategy in Syria, but left open the door for future dialogue.
My hope is that as we continue to have these conversations, and as I suspect Russia starts realizing that they're not going to be able to bomb their way to a peaceful situation inside of Syria, that we'll be able to make progress on that front.
That drew a stinging rebuke from Russia's prime minister, who tweeted of U.S. efforts, quote, "The U.S. has achieved nothing in the fight against ISIS in Syria. Only Russia's involvement has changed the situation. Moscow has long-standing ties with Tehran, and its proximity to Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan makes Iran even more troubling for a White House eager to draw down its regional military presence." Critics say this week's decision to leave nearly 10,000 U.S. troops in Afghanistan through 2016 did very little to improve U.S. chances of helping the Afghans, but was still better than its previous plan.
There reaches a point where the numbers get so low that the only thing they are able to do is spend all day defending themselves. That's the issue with the numbers.
Well, I agree with that announcement because, frankly, if you look at what happened with Iraq, we should have never been in Iraq in the first place. But when we took the troops out, that was the end of that. And now Iran is taking over Iraq as sure as you're sitting there.
As you can well imagine, Bret, the two leaders, that is, certainly talked about trade, including the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The U.S. and South Korea already have a bilateral trade agreement that dates back to 2011. Still, President Park said her country is interested in joining the partnership, saying they are both natural trading partners. Bret?
Kevin Corke live on the North Lawn. Kevin, thank you.